Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In our previous video we learned how to handle post requests in Node.js, but in this video we will learn how to send a post request in Node.js. Previously we used tools like Postman to send HTTP requests to our Node.js servers, but we can do a similar thing with some helpful libraries that are provided for Node.js, such as Axios. So now let's move to a VS Code, and what we have here is we have a new folder, and let's create a new JavaScript file named app.js. But before we move on, I want to remind you that for this you have to have Node.js installed in your system. So if you don't have Node.js, you can just go on the official Node.js website and install it from here. The easiest method that I would recommend is using the pre-built installer. First install the installer, then with the help of installer, with few steps, Node.js will be installed in your system. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to initialize our project npm init y. It should initialize our project with the default values. As you can see in the package.json, the root file will be our app.js. So next we are going to install is the Axios library, and we have it in our package. But before moving on, let's talk about Axios. So Axios is a very popular library, and one of the major benefits of using Axios is that it automatically transfers the incoming JSON data into JavaScript objects while receiving requests, and while sending requests it automatically transform your JavaScript object into JSON strings. So that's a major benefit. There are also many other benefits like handling promises, but we will not go that deep. So now what we're going to do is we are going to just import it, and we are going to use the require function to import it, and we will have to use the async function because we have to deal with requests and responses, which can take time. So let's name it send post request, and in this async function let's first declare the URL. So our server is accepting this request on a localhost, and the port number is 3000, and the path is /submit for post request. Next let's set some data. So we are going to create a data object, and the first property will be name, and let's name it after our favorite football player Cristiano. And let's also set an email property, mrucl@gmail.com. okay, so we have the URL, we have the data. Now to run the function we are going to use a try catch method. So first we are going to try some code, and if there is an error we will get the error object. So let's console log can't send post request along with the object plus the error that we received via the parameter. In the try section we are directly gonna send a post request using axios.post, and inside the parentheses we have the URL first, and then whatever the data we are going to send. We are also going to get a response, so let's declare a response variable. So whenever we are going to get the response, it is going to be stored in this variable, and it is going to take time, so we are going to use the await keyword. So let's move on, and we are going to console log the data that we are receiving from the response. So it should be response dot data. Remember, Axios will automatically convert the JSON string into a JavaScript object. We can also console log the name. So console log name plus again response dot the data we are receiving, and remember our object name is also data, so we will have to again dot data, and finally dot name, which is the property. Okay, so that's it, and we can send it. But before that we need to make some little changes in our server. So this is our server that we made in our previous video. You can check that, link is in the description. It uses express.js and there is also start script. In the app.js we imported the express, we created an express instance. We are using a middleware so that we can handle text which is sent to our server, but here in Axios we are going to handle JSON data, because Axios is automatically going to convert JavaScript object into JSON. So for that we are going to use app.use express.json. let's add some comments to handle JSON data. So whenever you're getting a JSON data, it will just transfer it to request.body. Also the case with a text, but here we have to make some changes. We are here sending a response, but we are going to send JSON instead of just sending a text response. So JSON is going to be an object, and the first property would be message from server, and the next property will be obviously data. Request.body, because the middleware is transferring the JSON data into a request.body, so we are going to send it from the body of the request. So now let's run our server using npm start, because we have added a start script which is runs node-mon app.js, and our server is listening. By the way, you can use multiple windows in VS Code by going into the file settings. And finally let's run our app. We have the data and we are sending the data and getting the data back, and that's it. But before that, let's add some start script. Okay, so what we're going to do is just call it start, so that when we type npm start, it runs node app.js. So that's how start scripts work, if you didn't watch the previous video. Okay, so let's type npm start, and this will send a post request. And actually we missed something. We haven't used our function, so we need to call the function here, send post request, and now our code should work. Npm start, and we are sending data and we are getting the response back, which is just the data and along with a message. And we are first logging out the response, which is logging the entire data object, and then we are also logging out the name, which is logging out the name property from the data object, and a space would be just better. Okay, so that's how you do it using async functions. Another way of writing this code could be using the .then and .catch method, which we have explained in our Instagram post, so you can check it out there. The link is in the description. So that's it from this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any doubts, you can just put it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like button below, and we'll meet you in the next video. And our next video will be most probably about middleware or something related to Node.js again. So see you there. Till then, keep coding.